do you remember the story I covered where a cop was being racist at a wedding and got his ass knocked out? Put up a picture of the cop. Yeah, remember that guy? Okay, so he was racist at a wedding and somebody did not like his racism and they decked him and he got knocked out. Well, there's an update to that story. I am happy to provide the update, by the way. A Tennessee police officer has now resigned from the force while comments he made at a wedding in June are investigated. That's according to Business Insider. Tanner Holt is his name. Tanner Holt reportedly made drunken, racist comments in the parking lot outside the venue, telling one attendee, and I quote, I didn't know they let black people in the reception hall. Jonathan Tony then asked Holt to quiet down, to which Holt refused and said he was part of the black community. That's when Tony, according to witnesses, punched Officer Holt in the face and knocked him out, saying he couldn't take it anymore. In a statement, Knoxville Police Department spokesperson Scott Erlin said in the course of the investigation, responding officers were made aware of numerous possible violations of the code of conduct, including allegations that Officer Holt had made racially motivated statements that caused the assault. So far, Holt has not been charged with a crime, but the man who decked him was charged with simple assault for punching Officer Holt. Quite interesting. When we first covered this story, we said there needs to be an investigation into this officer back at his department. Well, that did happen. Now this officer has resigned. But here's what I want to bring your attention to. Routinely, racist police officers, those involved in bigoted behavior or even sexist behavior, are still allowed to resign, not fired. They don't make an example out of them. They are allowed to simply resign. And typically, they are also allowed to move to another police job. Adrienne, you've seen this happen routinely. Why is it that when police officers engage in this kind of conduct, even outside of the parameters of their job, they are not held accountable as, let's say, an employee of a corporation would be?
Well, it seems that this is how the system works. And we can't also pretend that his fellow officers, those in his precinct, had no idea whatsoever that this man held these racist, bigoted views. Yeah, right. People know what the score is. They know what's going on. And then they're going to give him essentially that pat on the back on his way out by saying, well, since you get to resign, again, you can be hired elsewhere and you will not be terminated on your record by virtue of the fact that you've probably engaged in various types of misconduct. This is how the system continues to perpetuate and uplift bigoted individuals until they are in further positions of power to essentially promulgate their oppression.
How difficult does it become as an attorney, let's say a prosecutor, to actually prosecute a crime when this is the officer who was the main investigator? Can things like this come up as a possible motive for him to mislead the police report or possibly even a jury?
Yeah, arguably, indeed. A prosecutor could use it in order to some extent impeach that officer as a witness if they're on the stand and really to undermine their findings. But we've seen it happen time and time again where officers have engaged in various types of misconduct, bias, sexism, racism, so on and so forth. And yet the verdicts that really have been sustained on their evidence, collection of evidence, or their word alone don't get erased. It's very rare. And so essentially this is not doing any favors for any of society by letting this individual just resign and walk away.
Yeah, well said.